reflections on an inconsistency, not to say a paradox, in a certain brand of right-wing thinking, that of the Hoover Institute at Stanford, which has a kind of a neoconservative lineage and still houses John Yoo and I think also Susan Rice, so some people from the Bush administration, or who had contact with the Bush administration, and who have a connection to the Reagan Revolution, I suppose, in the earlier iteration of the Hoover Institution, and which is still visible through their housing of the Firing Line show, the Bill Buckley show. So Neil Ferguson, who is a regular contributor to one of the Hoover Institute's podcasts, made this comment pointing to Max Weber, saying that Weber has given a talk somewhere where he said that the standard for the speaker the scientific standard is that one shouldn't be able to tell what party or faction he belongs to, but that he is just producing the information. So actually this is a statement of what usually is considered anathema to the conservative, which is the relativism. So basically what Weber is saying is it's something like a reverse Turing test, if you think about it by metaphor. The speaker should speak in such a way that you can't tell that they're a human being. You see, they have no prejudice. They're not for something or against something. The scientific speaker should speak in the parlance of what the Prussians who developed this notion, and it is a notion alongside other notions, one of the Tausend und ein Ziel, or 1001 goal, as Nietzsche, as the Zarathustra puts it, Nietzsche Zarathustra puts it. The Arabian Nights came out in the German edition around the time Nietzsche was born, and the title says 1001 night in the singular. And so since this is sort of an odd formulation, he points to that by using the 1001 goal. So the goal of the Wertfrei science of Simmel, developed by Simmel, who Strauss says sanitized, quote unquote, sanitized Nietzsche's teaching for use in the universities, and then was popularized by Weber. The goal here is the so-called, literally, Wertfrei means worth-free, worthless, but it's translated to say value-free, the value-free science. So in the value-free science, we should be able to present something called, quote-unquote, facts, this new idea of the scientific fact, which are such that one cannot tell that we're dealing with a human being. I think this it's one of the things that should be unraveled, and there should be, as it were, methods developed to make the point more clear. But it's you have people that claim and are against relativism or value nihilism, who at the same time are strongly in favor of and proponents of value nihilism, or the wertfreie Wissenschaft, in favor of the notion, which is part of the ethos, part of the habit of the mentality of the greater part of Americans as formed in the schools in their formative years. We shouldn't forget that the years in school are the years when the being is most vulnerable to manipulation. The belief in something called a fact, which, however, in the ordinary vernacular has a wider meaning than it does in this sense, which is here in Weber's speech, apparently, taking it on the word of Ferguson, made more clear. It should be such that what I say has no human content, so that you can't tell at all what the views of this person are when they present it. So that's a proof, I think, in a way. And well, then we should look at specific examples to give it more, so we can understand it more clearly, give it more intelligibility. But nonetheless, that's a proof of the that Tucker Carlson, without knowing it, for instance, the whole propounding of the notion of facts and logic as though this were something, an escape from nihilism or relativism, is wrong-headed, and it's simply a form of the Chinese proverb says they're like fish in the water. It's simply a form of having habits, mental habits, an ethos which we don't step out of the water onto the shore and look back at, reflect on. So we need to look back and reflect on how these habits of continuously saying the word fact as though it were something good, continually saying the word scientific neutrality as though that meant something else besides from nihilism, are operating in the public discussion.